Hello?
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going. How's it going for you?
Where were you, man? Where were you?
Been around, you know. Flew to the country music capital of the world.
Did you see anything interesting over there?
So if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about Nashville.
Of course. I was thinking Nashville too, because when I think country music,
good.
Nashville.
You're on your stuff. Good.
I was actually thinking Texas. Embarrassing.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know, but I'd recommend it. It's a lot of music, a lot of food, a lot of bachelorette parties.
Did you join any?
No, I was with my girlfriend.
Oh.
Womp womp womp. No.
What kind of food? Like seafood?
No, not really. I mean, there was, but you go there for a barbecue. You go there for what's called Nashville hot chicken, and Nashville hot chicken is what?
I love KFC Nashville hot chicken. Chicken Little's Nashville hot. You ever have those?
I think I tried it, but what I'm saying is it's that, but like just in every way possible better.
Is it spicy?
Very.
And do they give you mayonnaise on like a bun and you can eat it?
There is a version of that
Okay.
where I went. I went to this really famous place where they had a sandwich version where I had that,
Okay.
but I had just the chicken strips, which were fucking phenomenal, but so hot, and it wasn't even the hottest.
It wasn't even the hottest one? You were like mild and you were like
No,
dying.
it was second hottest.
Okay.
And I was
Okay.
dying. But it's so good. I recommend it to anyone. It's like, it's not buffalo chicken. It's like dry rub almost. It's like it's spicy.
Wait, it's dry? Is it fried?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I
But
freaking
it's
love
more-
KFC Nashville hot.
Yeah,
so
it's very spice-ish. It's not saucy.
When I went to Texas, they had this barbecue, and like southern barbecues are like dry, like right. They like I feel like they prefer the dry rubs.
Yeah,
over,
we had
northern.
we had ribs, and it
barbecue.
was like
The driest.
I wasn't ready for it. It was
Yeah.
it was like I think it was very smoky. You could tell they used wood chips, and it was like the driest thing ever. But it was still, it falls right off the bone.
Yeah, it falls right off the bone. And like sometimes you look at the ribs, and it's like it looks raw still, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah,
at
I
least
was
it's
like, but they must
to
have
the
smoked
temperature.
it for so
Yeah, that's
long.
exactly right. They smoked it for so long, so everything's good. And now they got those commercials where it's like, oh, as long as pork's to like, was it 145, 165, whatever it is, you can eat it. So it can appear raw, and you can still eat it.
Yeah, which is like steak, but it's a little riskier to do that with pork. But hey, whatever, man.
I do feel like
when
it's
in Rome,
riskier.
I guess.
Luckily, I don't eat steak, so I guess
Me neither,
I can really
actually.
go crazy with
I don't really eat red meat that much anymore.
That's interesting.
But yeah.
Wait, so while you were gone, there was so much stuff that you missed, and we like started a conversation where like, hey, did you hear about projared? I'm like typing away for like 3 hours. I'm like, oh wow, projared. Oh wow, you really messed up. And then like you go on vacation, and this whole like James Charles thing happens,
which is actually, I think, not as big of a deal, but people made it out to be
I mean, I feel like Tati, who is the woman
Yes.
who came against James Charles with the accusations, made it bigger than it needed to be, and it could have been something that, just talk to the guy
worked out
privately.
in private. Yeah, I mean, that's what 90% of these things are, where like someone's supposed to be canceled. It's like it's a forced cancellation.
It is.
It's
a
like
forced cancellation.
it's like people are canceling to cancel. It's like
Right.
some people should be canceled, like fucking Harvey Weinstein or other people who have like obviously should not step foot in society ever again.
Yeah.
But people like James Charles or anyone like that, they make like not smart decisions, but they're not overtly doing horrible things, and then they get canceled over it. And it's like, it's morbidly sort of funny watching cancel culture, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, there goes another one. It's like funny. It's unfortunate, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, but you almost have to laugh at it because it's so ridiculous.
So the two big players in the cancel culture are Jeffree Star and Tati, who I don't even watch makeup tutorials.
For this case you're talking about.
Yeah, for this James Charles case, basically they both came in, I guess.
But you just got to think about the makeup community on YouTube. That's probably up there with like the video game.
The gaming community is like, I thought was brutal, but like after seeing this whole like wipeout between
Dude.
these three, it's like,
They
wow.
don't fuck around.
Yeah, no, they really don't.
It's probably even worse than the video game community to a certain extent.
Right. Wait, so this is the other thing, right? So then he makes another video called No More Lies. So after like a few days of this drama, he is now gaining back subscribers he lost, because I guess now he has all the facts. And it may not be all the facts. I'm sure there'll be other sides. But from what I've heard, Jeffree Star is now deleting tweets. And like,
oh, yeah, Jeffree Star isn't exactly coming from like a clean slate. It's so silly.
yeah. But they're both like, Tati and Jeffree Star are older. He's 19. They should, I can't believe they were like, if we go this negative on him now, like, won't he rebuttal? Won't he have something? Like, what did they expect to happen? Like, oh, they're going to expose him, and all of a sudden, what was going to happen?
And it was just a commercial for her
Vitamins.
and under the guise of like a scandal. It's like, it's not a scandal. And she's like, my husband did so many favors for me. I was like, well, fucking then learn not to do favors. Like, when you're doing business favors, that you're screwing yourself.
Right.
Anything that's a big business transaction should be under contract, because then something like this happens where you think that you're not being appreciated enough. And like, I had my husband work out all these deals for him. Like, well, then your husband shouldn't have done that. You don't do business favors. You don't do that unless you're really, really close with somebody. And even then, you sort of shouldn't do that.
Right.
And like, and we're supposed to feel bad for you? No.
This reminds me of Fire Festival all over again with Ja Rule.
Well, oh yeah, sort of.
He really shouldn't have done so many favors for him. Now, who's going to jail and who's not.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly.
And now there's a Fire Festival too. Like, oh, dude, Woodstock 2 got canceled.
Yeah.
I was ready to go. I had the entire trip planned.
And it was sort of funny because it was sort of for the reason that I initially thought about it. It was like they didn't think that it would be able to live up to its own name, and it's like, that's what I thought. It's like,
right.
You're calling it Woodstock?
Right.
It's like, you're never going to be able to live up to what it originally was, or at least what the legend of it is. It might have sucked for all I know, but
I mean,
the legend of Woodstock.
So, I don't know if you ever heard about the horrors of Woodstock, such as the bathroom situation, the town being overpopulated, roads being closed down. They expected, less than the amount of people they got. They ended up, I think, getting 5 times the amount.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I heard it was a nightmare. There was everything was mud. There was no bathrooms.
Yep.
There was just like no hygiene. I'm sure there was assaults like left and right.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. They shut down the roads at one point because
one thing I don't understand, like the way that time period is portrayed, it's like everyone's on drugs, everyone's on LSD, everyone's doing this trippy stuff. But like, you look at like modern, like new age, like people now, it's not the same. Like Woodstock 2 nowadays, I feel like would have been maybe big influence of drugs, but I don't think everyone's going to be on LSD or everyone's going to be doing the hardcore.
I don't know if everyone would have been on LSD, but everyone would have been on something.
They would have all been on like probably weed.
Weed.
I feel like weed just stands out.
But that also speaks to how weed nowadays is, apparently, this is what I've heard.
Yeah.
But is like so much stronger than it ever was back in the day.
To be honest with you,
what?
I've heard this from like when I was in college. I was young and dumb. I decided to go, smoke with some elderly people that Emily knew, and I was like, hey, and by elderly, they were elderly to me. I was like, I don't know, 23 at that time.
Different generation.
23, and they were like maybe 60.
Okay.
So I smoke with them, and she takes like 3 puffs, and immediately after she's like, I can't do it anymore. I'm like, oh, why? And she's like, it's giving me heart palpitations. And I'm like,
I don't know
what
happened.
Like, this is so strong, dude.
I've heard that.
There's like
thing.
4 other people in the group that their ages were like 30 to 40, and they were fine, right? But like this one lady was like, but this is so much stronger than I used to remember it.
I don't know.
I kind of felt bad for like her, for she wanted to try it. She did it when she was young. She missed it.
As far as I know, it was just way different back then.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was worse or it was just different. Maybe it's both. But
to be honest, I'm saying to be honest a lot, but to be honest, I'm saying to be honest a lot.
To lie.
No, really what it is like the weed has more THC in it. Yes, that's true.
Definitely.
But the advantages that the pro-marijuana culture is showing you is like, hey, it can be used for these cures to prevent or treat these illnesses, whether it's mind or whether it's internal, something like Crohn's disease or something like that. You're able to seek this medicine. Back then, you only had like, 6% to 12% THC in there. Like, you're not used to that. We did studies then on that weed, and we're like, yeah, this doesn't affect your mind. This doesn't do anything. I don't know how many studies we're doing today where we're like, hey, 30% THC in weed is completely okay for you, because back then the studies said weed doesn't cause cancer, weed doesn't do this.
Well,
like, the weed has changed itself,
The
as
active
in like
ingredient doesn't, but the way you administer it does.
The way you administer it does. Yeah, we're no longer, I don't think everyone's smoking a bogey or like a bone or a joint, whenever they can. Like, now the most are consumables, like edibles or like some type of vapor, whether it's vapor
easiest way to get
cartridges
into
or
it.
It is the easiest way, and it makes it so much easier that people
But
are
it
just
has
like,
been engineered to be stronger than it ever was. And that could be a problem for some people, like myself, who just I feel like I have a sensitivity to it, even though back in the day I used to not.
yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, where they're like, oh, I used to do it all the time, and then I had a bad experience and I can't go back. And I don't know what, it's almost like a psychological switch that goes off for certain people, where they can't mess with the strong stuff anymore.
Right.
Which I think there's a big market for weak, I'm saying air quotes, just like weak weed. That might be better for some people.
Right. And this is why they tell you the amount of THC in there. So if you are used to the older amount of THC, sometimes if you're in a group event, don't go for the highest. Like, when you're young, go for the highest amount of THC. But when you're in a group session, relax, go for the 20%, go for the 12%, 10%.
Also, that's where
it's probably cheaper anyway.
Absolutely.
One interesting thing I know my friend started doing is he now goes to gas stations and he gets like the Illuminati strains, which is just, it looks like weed and it smells like weed, but it's only CBD. The entire strain is CBD, and they can sell it. It's $40.
Are you sure it's not like fucking K2 or something?
Yes, I'm positive it's not K2. It says it, and you can go to the lab results, and he was showing it to me, and I was like mind blown. And then he starts showing me concentrate of it, and I'm like, you're telling me this is CBD isolate? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, why are you doing this shit? Like,
well, does he need that?
Yeah, he does. I guess he's spending too much money in the actual dispensary, so he's looking for cheaper alternative ways, and he's found.
But he's not going to get high from that.
He doesn't want to get high. It sounds like he just wants the CBD.
I mean, that might be
and there are people like that, but it's like, we have the best of both worlds where we are, so it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah. Wait, so what else happened?
What, in the world?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's sad how much these cancels took up the news sphere, because they're not worth that. They're silly. It's just silly things that are happening.
There are silly things that are happening.
I'm not even going to talk about projared, because it's been talked about. Everything that can be said has been said, and it's just sort of goofy. And it was weird because his wife was letting him do the things that he was doing. So it's another scandal that was blown up to be bigger than it actually is, I think. But people love that now. People love scandals.
Yeah, people do love scandals.
And especially when it's someone who is close to their age, or someone who they watch on YouTube, and then it's like, oh shit, it's like it's a peer who's being canceled.
Right.
But
so, talking about things that were canceled, Google Glass was canceled. Do you remember that? Do you remember Google Glass? Everyone was being a glass hole, had their camera on, you didn't know when they were recording and when they weren't.
I thought that was canceled 5 years ago.
It was canceled, but Google made it a beta program or something.
I was just going to say,
somewhere else.
It's probably, I thought
and
it actually
now
always
they're bringing
was.
it back. They're bringing it back. Google Glass 2 Enterprise version. Before, they were trying to make it commercial to the people like surgeons, civil 3D designers, those types of people.
Mm-hmm.
But now they want to get an enterprise version, which give it to developers, have them make new things, because there
Right.
are
Well,
companies.
that's what you have to do, because no one even knows the uses for it yet.
Have you ever tried augmented reality?
No, I haven't. I have a VR headset, but I've never really done.
Okay, so for the people that don't know,
Besides Pokemon Go.
augmented reality is adding a layer of virtual reality on top of reality. So they call that augmented reality.
And that's why it would be like glasses, so you're still seeing the things around you, it's just adding to it.
Right. And then virtual reality, you would not see the actual place around you, and you're completely immersed
Yeah.
in the virtual experience. So augmented reality, why do I think Google Glass is now going to take off? Augmented reality is where we're going. I'm already got the wearable. I already got a watch that I'm wearing. It's freaking monitoring my heart rate. It's monitoring when I sleep or when I doze off or when I need to wake up. That I'm not even thinking about it. It's an everyday thing. Even if it was the old watch, I wouldn't think about it. And now I wear it, I don't think about it. When Google Glass first came out, it was too early for the market. It was too early.
Well,
no one
definitely, and that's why it was always sort of a beta. And there was their barrier. I don't know what it looks like now, but I know it looked goofy at the time.
It did look goofy at the time, and it's gonna continue to look goofy. You can't, you're
Right.
wearing something. You can't make that not look goofy.
It'll be probably another 10 years before it's something that's fully integrated into like a regular pair of glasses. Probably 20 years.
There is another company, VUE, that
Mhm.
makes smart glasses, and they do one where it looks like regular eyewear, and you got like touch tone, bone conduction,
yep.
and it's pretty cool. Like, I'm assuming that's what Google Glass plans to do with this, but it's gonna make it.
I wonder if Huawei has that.
They probably do, or if they're not, they're definitely giving money to someone that's gonna promote that for them. But
What?
the real thing is, eventually, in like the next 10 years, the augmented reality marketing space is going to be taking off. Because if I can walk around like
People
you are
have been
with
saying the
Pokemon
same
Go,
thing with virtual reality though, and it's
virtual
stuck.
reality, you're in the environment. You're in the marketing environment. Like, whatever space you're in, add terabytes to it. You got more marketing filters. Well, augmented reality, the space you're in, you're going to start paying to put an augmented reality sign on that building right there while you're walking, so you see it.
Right, but that's only if there's a user base.
There's a user base for Pokemon Go. There would be a user base just walking around town.
But the fact that Pokemon Go is augmented reality is not a marketing tool in itself. It's more of a gimmick.
Okay, it may be a gimmick. It may be a gimmick in order to tag a place and lure people there.
Mm-hmm.
But what are billboards? They're a gimmick. They have an advertisement, and they want you to come to their place. It doesn't matter whether I see that billboard in real life, and it doesn't matter whether I see that
Well,
billboard.
that opens up the possibility for 10 different people see 10 different billboards. So,
Exactly. And now you're talking into a bigger space that
Mhm.
Google, which already is keeping track of our ads, which is already keeping track of, not our ads, our user activity, our history, and our searches. It's going to make it so much easier for them to get those ads out there and get even more ad revenue.
That's what drives everything. Like
So,
porn, war,
yep.
and advertising.
Dude, like, sometimes, like, porn gets people famous, dude. Like, what the
I'm
hell?
just talking about as far as the things that drive the progress of technology.
Cancel culture, porn.
I think cancel culture is a product of technology. But I brought up Huawei because Google, I don't know if you saw, Google cut ties.
With
Huawei.
Huawei. So they're no longer gonna be
So
their Google Play
they're not
Store.
offering any more Android updates for it. They're canceling the Google Store. I don't know if they're like canceling
What?
past versions of Android, but I know going forward there's going to be no developments.
No, that's so sad.
Well, I think it's.
Oh my God, I just got an alert. Study finds CBD effective in treating heroin addiction.
Oh, I believe that. I totally believe
Like,
that.
this is what I'm saying. Now it's like, study the modern stuff. Like, don't tell me about stuff back then. It's like, oh, when was the study done? Oh, 2001. Was it the same? Like, weren't people still growing stuff in like their closets back then?
Yes, and people still do that.
No, man. Now it's like you can find it enterprise. Most states are around a state that's legal. If you want to do it, you go to that state, you do it, you come back. Don't bring anything back. Just do it there and come back.
So I'm trying to figure out why Google cut ties. I just assuming it's probably because we like the same thing because the U.S. government is sort of on the same page, where you sort of have to view Huawei as a state entity, because I'm pretty sure that the government and Huawei are one and the same, as far as China is concerned.
Because China is getting money from Huawei?
Yeah, and I'm sure they're just all in bed with each other, because you can't... Like, are we going to pretend that China's a complete free market? No, there's got to be some way, shape, or form that Huawei is just feeding personal data into the government, and not even, vice versa.
Not even Huawei, but, we have this whole Trump and the China tariffs we're talking about right now. Basically, Trump wants to put tariffs on China, and right now they're still talking. Nothing's happened. But if this tariffs go through, we're talking companies like people that make our shoes. Dude, 160 something companies that make shoes would have a problem with the tariffs going up.
Well, I think it's a ploy.
Are gonna go up.
I don't even think he's dumb enough to put that forth.
You don't think he's dumb enough?
It would just have to be a ploy. It's just to scare them. If he actually did put it forth, I'd be beyond disappointed. But at this point, it's just to spook them. It's to show them that we might actually be serious about sanctioning them.
But what if they call our bluff?
They could.
So they call our bluff, and they're gonna pay the taxes, you think?
I don't know.
I feel like right now their economy is great. They're probably gonna.
And what's even the main reason for tariffing them? Exactly. I couldn't even tell you.
What is the main reason for tariffing them? Wait, are they abusing us in some way?
I think that may have something to do with it.
Are we scared of China?
Well, yes, and rightfully so.
I mean, we're scared of China because we give them everything and they build everything for us. It's hard to find American-made things these days, and if I do find an American-made thing, I'm paying premium price for it. And just to find out that it was only made here and assembled in China.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, everything's going to go up. Like plastics, everything. What are we going to do? What I think is going to happen is there's going to be a shift of world economy where USA may start turning into... Because look at our job rate, right? Like, the lowest it's ever been. Have I ever heard this before? Like
unemployment, you're saying?
Unemployment? Like, you don't... yes, unemployment, not job rate. The lowest it's ever been. Like, you don't hear that. I haven't heard that in a long time. Nowadays, I go to my friends, everyone's like, oh, I need to work, oh, I got work, I got this. It used to be in the past, like, oh, I live with my parents, and I still live with my parents, but now I'm working all the time.
That's anecdotal, but yeah, I think the stats are...
The stats are very different from...
very low.
10 years ago.
But what also the problem with that is people who stop looking for jobs stop considering themselves unemployed, so they're sort of out of the stats.
There's a lot of people...
If that makes any sense.
No, that does make sense.
Because, I don't know if homeless is the same thing as unemployed.
Homeless is the same thing as unemployed?
It technically
To be honest,
is.
technically it is. Because
I don't know
think even when
how these surveys are taken.
That's true. Like, I worked at...
Does unemployed mean, you were employed and now you're not? Because in that case, then that's a whole different thing than, trying to compile the amount of people who are literally unemployed. I always wondered that.
Yeah, are homeless people are part of the thing? Like, how would you even know? They don't fill out legal documents, or they're not part of the statistic, I feel like.
Exactly.
They just drop off the face of the earth. And if they do, dude, I almost feel like, okay, so they stop paying everything and they're living as a homeless person. What if they decide to come back to society? Are they now liable for everything that they forgot to pay, or like
No, I don't.
they're
think
trying
so.
to turn their life around?
It's all down to what the government actually wants to do about it, and that would be pretty spiteful.
No, what I'm saying is this guy, this homeless guy, now he wants to be a new guy, right? Like he wants to.
Yeah.
He could come. His way of starting fresh. We don't know his social security. We don't have any legal documents telling us this guy is this guy. We don't have DNA collected from this homeless guy.
I don't know if that happens all that often.
But it
I feel
can.
like it can.
I mean, that's a great way to.
I mean, I would highly recommend this YouTube channel. I think it's called Invisible People, where it's just 10 to 15 minute interviews, like unedited, with different homeless people, and it's done by this guy who used to be homeless, but he will just go up to different homeless people and he will ask them very basic questions. He asks like the same set of questions every time, and it sort of puts into perspective like who actually is homeless. Sometimes it's someone who's been sort of had no chance in their life and were sort of doomed to be homeless.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's a person who had a normal job like you or I, and then
they fell into drugs or something.
Or not even. They got laid off or fired and then fell into drugs, and then now they're here. Like, they had a good job and now they're on the street. So it's interesting. And that person would probably be considered unemployed.
That person would be considered unemployed, but then he becomes homeless and he falls off the system.
I don't know.
You don't think they fall off the system?
All I know is there is some sort of fall off somewhere.
There is.
Like, is the census going around to every homeless person and like asking them census questions?
Have you ever volunteered for the census?
No.
Emily's dad volunteered for the census, and basically he would go to people that didn't respond, go to their homes, make a visit, take note, report it back. He said it was good money.
Yeah, I've heard it's a good money. Like, it's good money in a pinch.
So the next thing is Google started this thing where you can wear backpacks, and they'll pay you to wear a backpack and walk around the city so they can get more video for their Google Maps. Could you imagine walking around for Google with the backpack, just like, hey, how's it going?
I've seen pictures of it, and it's funny when you're on Street View and it's like, wait, this is a walking path, and it's like, yeah, someone had to walk on it.
Someone had to walk on it with like, who knows how much equipment that is for them to do it.
I think it's like a big backpack and then a thing that sticks up out of it.
Dude, we can like start doing trails. Like, you start getting trails in there. Like, people, we're talking, they're already starting virtual reality as it is. They're building a map space for us. We don't even need to be in.
Speaking of augmented reality, I forget if it was Google or Apple who has augmented reality maps. I think it's Google. Or the maps, you would look, so like you would hold your phone up like in front of your face.
Yeah.
You're seeing the world in front of you through your phone with the directions superimposed on it. Because like, you ever been in the city?
Wait, so you can like literally walk and it's showing you, oh my God, I go motorcycle riding, this is what I need. As I'm riding, I want it to show on my visor where I want to go.
That would be sick.
Like, heads-up display in the motorcycle visor.
That would be sick.
To be honest, I'm an engineer, and I know a bunch of engineers.
You could just tape your phone to the helmet.
No, we're not taping the phone to the helmet. All right, let's not get too loud.
It would work.
It would work. The other thing, as you know, recently I got pulled over. I was looking into state laws in the state we live, and they don't have any laws against laser jammers.
Interesting.
So a lot of policemen use LiDAR instead of radar. So LiDAR is like laser technology.
I think they're moving towards
so
that because so many people have radar detectors.
Yeah, and some people have radar detectors, and since our state doesn't have any laws against it, you could stick it in a motorcycle.
Wow.
And every time it gets
that might be a good idea. That might be worth the investment.
Yeah, but it's like $700.
$700.
Yeah.
Oh my!
And the starting price in a good one is like $500.
Oh my!
And like there are cheapos out there for like $300. It's not even worth it.
I think.
Yeah, that's radar.
Yeah, because radar is
and then there's Cobra, which is like 300 feet detection, which is horrible.
No, yeah. All I know is that if you were, like, say you were in a car and wanted to stave off every possible tracking from a cop,
right,
you'd have to have an array of radar detector, radar jammer, laser detector, laser jammer, like some sort of...
Yeah,
like,
you need
can't
all
just
four.
have one.
So what I found out is technically I can pull my battery, as many USB devices as I want through the battery.
Well, not as many
So
as
I
you
got
want,
I can put all 4 devices
You don't
in
want to
there.
kill your battery, but yeah.
I will probably kill the battery, but if the devices have their own battery charge as well, then it just
Right.
it only uses the battery when it needs to
it,
charge.
yeah.
Then I could be golden the entire time, just as naturally invisible as you can
Do
get.
you know if bikers have laser jammers like that?
Yes, bikers
I mean,
do
it
have
would make
laser
a
jammers.
lot of sense. I've never even thought about
It's
it.
a big thing in Ohio. Actually, one of the reasons I got into this was there's a guy, Cycle Cruiser in Ohio, that does videos, and he recently got pulled over. It's the second time getting pulled over in his entire life, he says. And basically, he's looking into, hey, how do I stop? Because he was like, oh, I'm a person in the night sky, like I can hide. And then literally he goes through a state park and he gets pulled over right there. He's like, oh, shit. And I'm like, oh, this is so funny. So I message him and I'm like, dude, like, oh man, I feel bad. I feel like ever since you got pulled over, you ride so much slower now. And literally I message him, and the next day I get pulled over. and then I'm like, okay, think back. Like, Cycle Cruiser started going slow. You know, he's like taking it real. He's realized he's an idiot. But I don't think I had that same realization, because when I got pulled over,
you need to get spooked.
I need to get more spooked. I think what it was I was driving smartly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was being reckless.
Right.
But because the speed limit was set,
Yeah.
and even though I was maintaining, traffic, it was going with traffic. It still happened, and you've seen the video, so you know. But it's like, I can't believe this happened. So now I'm looking into laser jammers. I feel like I'm saying laser wrong. Laser.
Lidar.
Lidar. I don't even know.
But with your, I mean, that's like that's the whole paradox, or like the irony of the whole thing. You'll spend $700 and you'll never need it.
Yeah, and it's cat and mouse. Like, and also they could come up with something better, and it's like,
yeah, that's
the
the
only
whole
reason
thing.
I have it is like
People
to
are
tell me.
super into this stuff, and like you can't just like get a Valentine one and think you're okay.
Yeah. You have to keep it updated and keep going.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I want to do that. Or I can just ride within the speed limit. Teddy, damn it.
I know certain states don't allow any of it. I know
No,
Virginia.
our state, we're safe.
That's crazy, actually.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, dude, I could even deck out. Could you imagine, like, have little laser inceptors in the front, and it's just like, as soon as they gun it, it jams their signal. I'm like,
I got
good.
someone to show you after this podcast, because somebody did it, and it's the craziest looking thing.
And they are so, like, you can
they
hide
spent
them
probably
so
10
well. Like, it's like,
he didn't even
wow.
hide it. He spent like $10,000 on a full panel of jammers.
Oh man, I saw some of the
GPS.
jammers that people have. I was like, wow,
People are so into it.
wait.
It's so nerdy. It gets to the point where it's like you're more into the jammer than actually using it.
Yeah, that's true. And then they do get into it, but it's like, what if a cop does pull you over and uses common sense?
He just sees
and
all
he's
this
like,
shit.
Dude, I'm going 85 and you're going 120 and I can't clock you. Like, obviously, pull over.
Yeah.
Pull over. It's like speeding ticket. And then what? You're gonna go fight that in court, and they come look at your car. Then
sometimes
what?
they're like,
Do you lawyer
if
up
you
at
fight
that
this,
point?
I'll be there. I've had a cop say that before.
If you fight this, I'll be there.
Yeah, but that was for more serious shit.
I've had cops to tell me to fight it because I'm still young.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, I would
I'm
fight.
like, dude,
I
I'm
would
not
fight
young.
anything besides anything that they say they're going to be there for.
The funny part was, before I got the fast bike, I was looking at videos on how to avoid cops and how to, like, ride correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. I must have, like, not seen the guy. I don't even know how it happened. I was like, shit. Here we go again.
It happens to the best of us.
Yep. All right. And on that note, we're now back. We're going to continue doing this podcast as frequently as we can. I'm going on vacation. I'll be back Monday.
Cool.
It's not a real vacation, but, like, it counts.
Staycation.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to Florida.
Oh,
Disney,
yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
Disney, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios.
Enjoy.
Thank you.